Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new set where we're going to see Reverse versus Soma. Reverse is playing killer first with, I believe that is the Nurse I'm hearing, and there's nothing starting out the match strong, looking into the corrupt area, trying to find their first survivor, and today I am now joined by the wonderful and very, very strong Blueberry.
Hello everyone, I'm so glad to be back and able to join back on the caster's table with I believe this is a new duo, you and me.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see how this goes. We're already able to spot our first few survivors, maybe even entering the first chase, which is pretty good for nothing in the beginning of this trial. However, it doesn't seem like we can spot the survivor quite yet. Someone's done a really good job at playing at least a little bit immersive, so we're going back onto the hill to try and get a little more of an overview across the map. It is worth noting though that we have our most iconic corrupt spread probably around the region on the top left side of the map.
Yeah, that iconic 3-gen has done well for many killers in the past, and hopefully it does well for nothing. However, the first chase hasn't really started yet. Nothing hasn't got a lot of pressure on Cold Tower, which typically is a small map where you can consolidate a lot of pressure really early into the match, but it doesn't seem like nothing has been able to do that just yet, and is only starting the first chase right now. And it seems like that first chase will be none other than the Fang now directly going towards these corrupt generators. Nothing needs to get it down here fast if he wants to have any pressure on these generators in the far side of the map, especially since it seems like the Fang wants to die in the corner right now.
This looks like a big case of edge map Andy to me, so Terrified is going to be the first hook of the match for us, and as I was gonna say, as gens are taking a little while to pop, I'm assuming we're gonna see at least 2 generators pop. However, now I was switching over towards the survivors point of view. We do see 2 people who are doubling that 1 gen, so we have spent quite some amount of time on getting that run out of the trial. However, now the first gen has popped, and maybe we're gonna see another survivor very soon. Nothing really has to pick up the pace a little bit. I feel like he has some trouble finding those survivors and being able to initiate those first chases.
Yeah, that could play out badly in in Nothing's favor if he's not able to get these downs. You know, Terrifier, the only down so far, and we're at 4 generators remaining. Nurse on Cold Tower is an extremely strong map for her, and she's able to do so much on this map because it's so small. So not having at least 2 downs by the time that 4 generators are remaining is very scary in Nothing's position. And with only 1 perk remaining, and that being Thanatophobia, and having no other survivors injured, there's not really going to be a lot of slowdown as well. Pop Goes the Weasel is available, but not when you're only having this 1 hook on Terrifier. Nothing is also just opting to camp out Terrifier right here, which is, you know, an interesting strategy to say the least, because you want so much pressure off your Thanatophobia that you want to spread that pressure as much as possible, but it seems like Nothing is just going to try and get these stages as fast as possible and get a kill here at 4 gens. Maybe terrified of what these what these survivors can do, as we do have Terrifier on that hook.
I have to say though, as the survivors are taking their time with the next few gens, I feel like we're going to be at 3 survivors remaining in the trial, at most 2 gens remaining. So I don't know, with the 3 gens still being up on top side, there's still a lot possible for Nothing. It just seems like he's going to try to secure that 1 kill, and I don't know how much progress we have on that 3rd gen maybe, but it doesn't look like there's too much going on yet, as we have been kinda scouting around the hook to see if we maybe can be able to get a save. But looking at this, you probably have an elimination right about now.
Yeah.
So I think Nothing now is in a really good spot.
Yeah, he does have that 3-gen and he does have that kill, but the survivors right now can just run the opposite side of the map, especially because none of the resources have been used. So you can use these fillers to try and either stun the killer or try and get some distance away from them using these edge map tiles. And that seems exactly what they're going to try and do right here, as we see Swatter starting this chase with Nothing, and the other survivors are probably working on that 3-gen currently as well. We'll see the first hit come through, but the second one needs to come through even faster than that first one did if they want to be able to stop those generators from popping. And it seems like they are going to be able to get that, but it's in the corner of the map, so who knows how good this position for Nothing really is in this situation, especially when we have these generators already on 70%. Nothing is going to have to immediately go back there and use Pop Goes the Weasel with only one stack of Thanatophobia. There's not a lot of slowdown, and Ace maybe wants to make themselves be found here since nothing is going to immediately try and head back towards the generator that is in the 3-gen.
I have to add one thing. There seems to be a theme occurring between those survivors just getting down as an edge map Andy over there. With our second survivor also going down on the corner of the map. But however, just as you've mentioned, the 1-gen in the 3-gen combination up top side, it has just been popped. So now, as nothing has been getting away from his gen set quite a bit for that last chase, it's going to be a little more tricky. And to me, it actually looks like we're not going too far away from the hook. Nothing seems just a little bit indecisive over here.
Yeah, definitely indecisive is a good word to use here, since there's not really any reason to stay around here right now when you have Thanatophobia. Thanatophobia seems like a waste of a perk with Nothing's playstyle right now because you're only having the percent slowdown, or sorry, 5% since the buff. And only having that 5% while you have so many people working on generators isn't really going to do that much. Now starting to chase finally with Legionnaire, you're not, or sorry, Milston, you're not going to get a lot of value since this isn't in by where, oh, Dead Hard, a wonderful Dead Hard there. But this isn't near where the generator was almost completed. Where it was at 60%, and now we're dying in corner once again to get the reset, and now the two survivors can work on the generator that was almost close to completion that nothing popped a long time ago. And it seems like that's exactly what Legionnaire is going to opt to do as Swatter comes in for the save. No, actually both of them are going to try and work their way towards where the save is going to happen, maybe trying to go in for a double save against Nothing, since Nothing has shown that they are doing a more campy playstyle here on this round, but it really doesn't seem to have panned out all that well, as we only have 6 stages so far in this match with only 1 generator remaining.
Now we were able to spot the Atom trying to opt for the unhook as well already, and it doesn't seem like we're going. No, we are actually going for a trade. So this is the down onto the Atom. I wouldn't be surprised if we also see the BT coming out onto the Ace, but however, we are going for the hook again, and this is actually our second survivor out of the trial. So now you're looking at a little bit more of a tricky situation, and I have to wonder if SOMA really had to go for that save, because if Nothing would have just stayed on that hook, you probably would have been able to get another gen now by the time their second survivor is dead, right?
Yeah, definitely. But now we're going to start the chase onto Legionnaire. Nothing is going to try and make up for their earlier mistakes in the match by capitalizing on the mistakes of SOMA, and now is going to start the chase on the final fresh survivor, Legionnaire. Legionnaire right now needs to make sure that their chase can extend as long as possible and ensure that Millstone is able to finish that last generator if they want to either have an escape or at least the points for all generators completed. You know, this should be a 4K map for Nurse, but at the same time, you with that start that Nothing had, you do want to have some more pressure on these generators.
Now we're able to spot the Half-Life survivor, I believe. So this is going to be the Ace. However, the Ace is the one person with the Dead Hard, so maybe we will be able to see another little bit longer chase. However, we are in the top side with 2 of our gens, but with the 3 gen already broken, if this chase is going on for long enough, we might see the last gen pop. We are porting right into the Paladin. Milton doing a pretty good job on that chase, getting a little more distance, and I feel like I jinxed it just right in that second because there's going to be another edge map down. But look at the progress on this gen. Legionnaire has been doing a really great job on getting that progress. However, now you gotta decide, do you want to reveal your location?
Yeah, are you going to wish for these gates, or are you going to try and go for that hatch play? It depends on, you know, what options you have against this Nurse, and it seems like they're going to go straight for that door, and Nothing is also going to head towards that door. However, if they let Milston die on hook, you also have the opportunity to get that hatch at Shack, I believe, is the offering that they use. So there is definitely an option for either play to be made right here, and it seems like Legionnaire is going to be waiting by the door as we see the Nurse trying to look for where the survivor could possibly be, but also being wary that hatch can spawn at that Shack.
But I have to say, with this gate spread though, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually let Milston die on hook, and Legionnaire was like trying to opt for the gate by the hook. But with also with the gate map, we're just noticing that nothing can view both of the gates pretty well, almost from just standing, so you only have to wiggle just a little bit. So I think all we're gonna do is secure that death from where we can see the hook and now close hatch.
Oh my god!
Oh, what?
Already at 70%. This is so close and nothing's going for the hatch. This is so huge. This is gonna be an out on a fresh hook survivor. This is gonna be the biggest play for SOMA ever. That's gonna be a one-man escape on this map. That's so huge.
I thought we were able to see both of the exit gates. What happened?
I guess we weren't. Or maybe nothing just hadn't checked it in a long while, but that's an insane play from SOMA, able to get that one man out.
Yeah, exactly, and this is actually going to result in a 21-13 in favor of Reverse, and I'm going to be very interested to see the SOMA's killer response to that, and I think we're going to see exactly that after a quick break. Welcome back, everybody. We are back in trial number 2 of set number 1, which is the Nurse set, and we have Volga coming out on the killer side for Team SOMA now, and already we have a little bit of a change in pace as we are able to spot the first survivor very early into the game. I believe this was even 2 of our survivors, but very similar to the first match. We are in the edge map. The Magic getting that first tag here as he is the Fang player. It looks like we're gonna proc the balanced landing over in the map, and meanwhile we do see the Ruin getting cleansed immediately, so there's a lot happening at once right now.
Yeah, but in the meantime, Pentamento is also going to start getting value once Volga starts heading over there to try and get that 100% progression penalty on those generators. Now going to continue the chase onto Magic, hopefully getting it down. The Edgemap Andy has been doing so much work here, especially with that flashlight. No DH, however, so the chase won't be extended any further. Now Volga will finally get their first down, but much faster pace than we saw previously. However, Laser and the other survivors of Team Reverse are doing super well at getting this gen pressure going forward, and Volga is going to need to try and speed up their process, or maybe get that Pentamento, which is exactly what they just did, to slow down the progress of those survivors. Adam, in the meantime, is going to try and sneak around to get that hook save, but we'll see Volga trying to interrupt these gens anyway, and goes straight back towards the hook to try and maybe tunnel out the Magic here as we see the first generator finally popping.
And we do spot a couple more scratch marks, and this is another survivor trying to walk away from this gen pretty early. However, we are the Nurse, so we are going to catch up really fast. Not getting the connect onto the Firecracker, however, getting a little more distance back into the Corrupted of the gens. However, your Corrupted is about to run out right. Oh, now nice stun coming out from our Adam over here, and it looks like this is going to be a pretty good chase. We have now just got the first tag onto our survivor with another stun plus 5 wood applied, how you might say, and this is also going to result into the down onto Predator. However, I have to say they did a really good job, and I do expect at least one gen to pop in the meantime.
Yeah, and Magic is going to be able to get the Pentamento as well, which is going to get rid of that 100% regression penalty. And the survivors shouldn't have to worry about that any longer, because there's no reason to try and cleanse anything else. And another generator in the meantime is going to be cleansed. And now we have those 2 fresh hooks, so Volga is really going to need to try and choose who they're going to tunnel out, or try to spread their pressure even more if they want to get some value on these. And Pedro, in the meantime, is going to use that deliverance to get off hook. Volga needs to find one of these survivors, maybe even Pedro, and tunnel them out as fast as possible, because these survivors have such good gen pressure, and with only Thanatophobia helping you in the situation, you're going to need to try and do that as fast as possible.
Yeah, Volga needs a decision, and they need a decision right about now, but we are finding the Magic, so this is going to be another tag onto the Fang, and Fang was the other survivor who was hooked prior in this trial, so this is a very good choice. Nice flashlight use over there. However, we are going to get the down very quickly into the match, and this is exactly what Volga needs right now. We do have the 2 stacks of Thanatophobia working in their favor, but without any Ruin or Pop still at their disposal, and I believe the Pentamento was cleansed also already. We're looking at a little bit of a tricky situation.
Yeah, definitely a tricky situation for Volga here. They need to be able to try and get as much pressure as possible, and the survivors are doing a great job at preventing that from being able to happen by just spreading out so much and keeping Volga on their toes constantly, and also preventing the tunnels onto their survivors. The Magic, however, now is going to get into the third chase and hopefully final if you are Volga, but the BT hit will also come through, proving to extend this chase a little bit further, and Volga getting lost there will also lose a couple meters of distance because of that, and now needs to go back onto this flashlight user and be able to get it down as fast as possible. But they can prevent the second blink, but it doesn't happen, and we saw that DS was on Pedro, so no DS is going to come out onto the Magic. And, oh, wait, what? I guess I missaw. I guess, yeah, there is DS on the Magic. I guess I was just not true there. I was lying to you guys, but the down immediately will come back and we'll get another down. However, one gen remaining and the survivors are resetting in the distance and finishing the last generator. There should be no time for Volga to do anything in this, and it seems like the survivors are going to be able to escape with at least 3 men.
Yeah, the Volga won't be able to make it back in time, as there are 3 survivors onto this gen. If they commit this, maybe with exchange of 1 stage, but with Pedro being injured, this could be the spell of disaster. However, if maybe we have an adrenaline onto Pedro, if he's showing himself this clearly. However, the gen still hasn't popped, as the survivors have retreated prior to this from the gen, so it is going to go on a little longer. We are going to secure the 2nd stage onto Pedro, however, and it seems like we're going to opt for this circle, which is right next to the gen that has progressed well past the 90% mark. So now we're going to scout the areas. We're really sure there's another survivor. We're getting the tag onto Hubi and now getting into another chase. With this gen not being completed in time and all these survivors being in the area,
Oh my God.
this is another down. This could be the end for the reverse.
Yeah, Laser is going to have to play very carefully here if they want to carry their team out of this situation. Hubi and Pedro really just out of the game right now for the situation. Volga is going to opt to kick the gen to prevent any progress on that happening, but it seems like Laser is just going to laser focus on this generator and prevent anything from happening outside of this last generator being completed. But Volga is counting on that happening and is heading directly over to Laser's generator. Doesn't seem to see them. I don't think they saw them. Maybe now heading back there to try and look for them, but I don't think they saw them. They might be hiding nearby now. Yeah, exactly is what was happening, but they are now finally going to be found out, and now Volga is going to get the final down onto Laser and finish this map out. But a dead hard is going to come out. Maybe the reset onto the slug could happen and extend this game just a little bit more, but Volga is in a great situation now to get the 4K before all the generators are completed.
I am not sure, to be honest, where Hubi is located right about now, but I'm pretty sure that Hubi wasn't the player with the Unbreakable equipped, so if we want to see Hubi back standing, it would have to be the pickup, so both of these survivors have to be close in this area, so Volga also knows this and can now opt to go for the 2nd attempt of the second.
Oh.
This is the 2nd down on the Laser, and what looked to be like a 2 to 3 men out for Team Reverse has now turned into a 4K on 1 gen remaining. What a switch.
Yeah, one mistake and the game went from a 3 to 2 man out to now a 4K. That's how optimal this map is for Nurse. Nurse has such strong options on this map that if you make one mistake, your good position can turn into a horrible position, and that's going to result in the win for Soma in this matchup.
This is insane. I mean, I don't think we're going to see another deliverance, so this will just be us waiting, I believe. We're checking the products right now. Nope, there won't be any deliverance, so this is actually the guaranteed 4K. So this is just going to be us waiting for them to enter 2nd stage. So we got like another good minute to talk about what has happened here. But we can first spoil the final score of this set. It's going to be 29 to 41.
I'll double check that for you.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's in favor of Soma, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's favor of Soma 29 to 41. That you are correct on your math there. We were all waiting on our clocks right there for the match to end, and finally the 67 seconds has hit. You can close that Chrome tab. You know you had your DS timer out. We know you're a sweaty tryhard in pubs, but it's fine. The match is now over. As soon as Laser lets go, we will be into the next match, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And a great first set here for Soma versus Reverse. Soma taking that first set is so huge for them, as in the next matchup we will see Spirit who is such a volatile killer and so survivor-based, and SOMA having such a big survivor roster and people who are suited directly to the matchup has a pretty distinct advantage going into the next round.
It's going to be really, really.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spirit match with SOMA as killer. We're going to be starting off immediately phasing on top of the survivors and finding them in the corrupt side of the map. Now going to continue the chase onto Hoopy here with the flute also being used. The recovery add-on for that recovery speed on the power is also going to be used in a contact with duration as well. But no hit onto that window, a swing and a miss there, and no continuation on to, or no hit there. We'll continue the chase. And now finally getting that first hit, but the power recovery add-on so strong in this map, being able to get those 2-tap situations because of it. But the fun bus will win the fun of the Spirit, and now we have to reset the chase back to 0 after breaking that pallet.
I was about to say, you're running the recharge add-on, then you might as well use your face a little more often. We do still have Hoopy and Chase, and they're doing a really, really good job on it so far. We have seen the Ruin pop in the meantime, but it just seems like Nancy is doing a really great job over here on the fun party bus. Now we're going into the phase walk once again, now trying to use our ability a little more often, and this is probably going to be another edge map down. This seems to be the current theme on how we start our matches. We do have the first gen popping off across the map, maybe even a second gen. I wouldn't be surprised to see another one. We do see there is the second one close to completion on the Magic, that is going to happen in just a little while, and with no pop or ruin available yet, you're not going to be able to interrupt that.
Yeah, Fairy needs to be able to push the reverse survivors off of these generators if they want to get some pressure here because of the ruin being gone, and you want to get that pentimento value as well up, but Fairy has to go so far out of their way to activate that pentimento that it's really not worth it in this situation. Maybe just camping out Hoopy is the best decision, especially now that we see Loner is standing nearby the hook waiting for that save, and if you interrupt it there, or sorry, Loser is standing there waiting for the save.
Sorry.
Oh, Laser. I said loser. I'm such a good reader, guys. But anyways, continuing the match, we're going to see that Hoopy is going to be trying to be tunneled out here, but the Shack Pellet will be dropped, and now we're going to have to continue the match, continue the chase further into the map.
Yes, exactly. That is what's going to happen. I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from that loser call out. However, we do have Hoopy back again onto the ground, so this is probably going to be the second stage onto this survivor, as well as a third gen popping. So we do need to pick up the pace a little bit on the killer side, as the survivors are doing a really, really good job on that gen pressure. We do see Mac leaving that one gen early, and with the gen pressure being immense as well, it's no wonder that we see our killer going for that first pentimento stack. And now we do have the, I believe it's 40% penalty onto our gens. We're able to spot the Adam, and now this is going to be another trip back to the hook.
Yeah, another trip back to the hook. Fairy wants to consolidate their pressure here and sees that someone is already going in for that save. Also wants to protect their pentimento stack, so trying to prevent anything from happening. A 2-man save is going to come in, however, so they're going to have to make a decision here, and they go and hit the Adam. The power is also up. Instead, just going to hit the Cheryl and try and spread their pressure as much as possible across this team. Probably going to go again for the tunnel onto Hoopy here, who probably has access to BT, but maybe not, since they went for 2-man save, and one of them probably didn't have BT, and that the person who saved didn't have BT in that situation. So now the down comes through, and this should be the death at 2 generators remaining.
And objectively, I'd say this is a pretty decent place to be in. I mean, yes, you're only playing with 1 perk remaining, and it's not going to help you prevent any of these gens from popping, as we do have the 4th getting completed over there in the meantime. However, we do have that Noayan escapes death on our back pocket. So this is going to have a little bit of an impact later on into the trial. Ever now we're going to be able to spot the survivor and even the injured mech on cross here on the front bus, and they won't be able to make their way towards another pallet. So this is going to be the second fresh hook to get in our trial. But meanwhile, the 5th gen has been getting completed, and now you're really trying to get another hook over there.
Yeah, and hopefully Laser is not a loser here and doesn't get found out with this NOAD activated. You don't want to be a fresh hook who gets downed in this situation, but it seems like that's exactly what Fairy is going to aim for. And here's the vault, but doesn't go for the swing, and now is going to continue the chase around this TNL wall. We're going to see that the mind games are going to go back and forth here. Fairy is waiting for their power to be up, and we see Laser leave the tile while the save goes through. Adam getting the save onto the Magic, and now the pallet is dropped. They're on the same side of the pallet, but I don't think Fairy knew that they were vaulting over, slow vaulting over. Now they're going to have to play the tile without their power up for a few seconds as the Magic and the Ace or the Atom are going to try and open up the doors and get out as fast as possible. We see now that the survivor is probably vaulting over. Yep, and exactly that's what's happening, and the down will now finally come through.
Now with Laser on the ground, but the gate already prepped. I think we're gonna see the other two probably leaving the trial over here. I'm gonna say a 2-man out would be a pretty decent result. However, we do see our killer opting to go maybe for a little more. Or are we trying to relocate our slug? Laser has made a little bit of distance on the ground over there, but we are getting the pickup and gonna continue that with another fresh hook. And I mean, we have seen the other survivors heal up at the exit gate. I don't think we're gonna see them go for a cleanse.
I would assume they wouldn't go for it, but Magic is going straight into there. But maybe returning back, maybe thinking it's a bad idea. Yep, we see Adam telling him to leave. Oh, the Deliverance! They were waiting for the Deliverance. The DS is also up as well. I didn't even see that myself. But yeah, the DS is up as well, so you could be waiting for the catch and or just going for the door. Laser might have time to crawl all the way to there, but no, the pickup is going to come through, so he definitely does. They leave immediately, but the skill check isn't going to be missed this time, and we get out through the hatch. That's so huge!
This is insane! I didn't think that Furry was gonna go for the pickup over there. I was 100% on them closing the hatch first. What? This is insane. This is actually a huge point swing in favor of reverse. And we got, well, it's not going to look that huge, but it is going to be significant because we are looking at a current score of 17-13 in favor of reverse on a Spirit set, and I think that is a really good performance.
And we'll see how Reverse is able to manage it when we come back from.
And we're back again into the fog with another trial. This is trial number 2 of set number 2, and we're still in the Spirit set on the Wrecker's Yard with the Magic coming out on the killer side for Team Reverse. And we do see a little bit of stealthing, at least from the half of our survivor team over here. But we are able to spot the first survivor very quickly, so this is going to be the first chase with only 1/4 of your corrupt already expired. So this is a really good pace. If you can keep that up with getting the first connect onto the Fang right about now, you're looking at a pretty good start.
Yeah, and this start is going to be very fast, especially with, this down that's coming in at this garbage truck. Since it's in the corner of the map, there's not much the survivor could really do in this situation. Unless they had access to balance landing and or live. Legionnaire is immediately going to be starting on their generator, but only 10% of the way done. We'll have Milson trying to consolidate some more pressure onto that. But we see Terrifier is going to get hooked while I believe that was Swatter is hiding behind here. But LeMagic knew that Swatter was there and was just faking going the opposite way. What a wonderful play from LeMagic here. Now going to continue the chase down onto Swatter and hopefully getting it down since they are in the same corner. But no, a pallet gem is available, so there's going to be a 50-50 play. But it seems like Swatter had the correct read there. Maybe a dead hard even to make some more distance. But now it should go down at this pallet very soon. But ooh, a little bit of swing baseball there. Not going to be able to hit a little bit of a strike. But the power is up, and now with the grass moving, we should see LeMagic getting it down very soon, and there it is. And then meanwhile, however, Terrifier got saved off the hook, but the generator pressure still shouldn't be that big, and with Pop Goes the Weasel being in use here soon, there could mean that only one generator pops instead of 2.
That seems to be the case. We're gonna have 2 fresh hooks on only 1 generator down, and I believe if the Magic is able to spot the right gen, he might actually be able to interrupt the other 2 survivors working on that. So this would be even less gen pressure, and this is exactly what is going to happen. We're gonna apply that pop kick onto the back of this gen and probably right back towards our hook, as the unhook should be coming in at any second. We do not spot any survivor over here though. Never mind, there is the ace. Was going to try and go for the save, and now we're going to take another chip into the fun bus, and it's actually the good window open, I believe. I'm not quite sure. The screen share is really special today. We do get the first tag onto the ace though. However, we're going back towards the hook survivor once again, as we are about to hit stage 2.
Yeah, and hitting stage 2 here will be imperative, as that will mean 3 fresh hooks and 1 on second hook, and a possibility for a tunnel out to happen already at 4 generators, maybe even 3 generators here soon if the survivors are able to push those generators out as fast as possible. But we hear an injured survivor. That's going to be Millstone. The dead heart comes out, but it's not enough, and Magic will still get it down there. Now needs to head back probably towards that hook, but no, is actually going to try and get the hook onto the or interrupt this generator instead, and finds another injured survivor.
No.
This could be another down onto the survivor, which would be huge. And there's the 50-51. The save will come through, but it's not enough. Terrifier is now going to be hooked on their second hook. 2 survivors dead on hook because of this now, and a pop goes the Weasel on the 1 generator that had progress, and another one coming here soon as well on the path of Millstone.
This is a very terrifying situation for Team SOMA right here, with also having Milson on the ground right now. However, we do see the reset coming out onto the Atom. We are using the first pop kick available at our disposal now, and I don't know if we're going to go for the pickup right away. I think it's going to depend, but we do have enough time, and enough way more time than needed, to be honest, with the hook count already into the trial, with only having 1 generator completed. We do see, I believe, the Felix trying to get a little more of those objective points, but with 2 survivors being on hook, you probably need both of your remaining survivors to come in and go for the save.
The one thing that Magic lost out on here, however, though, was the second hook on Scatter. Scatter did not hit second stage, so in fact, there will not be 2 survivors on Death Hook, but only 1, and that is going to be Terrifier. But Terrifier is close to dying here with only 15 seconds left on their hook state. The survivors are going to need to save them as fast as possible if they don't want them to be eliminated from the game, but it seems like Magic is going to make that impossible by just staying here close to the hook. Now we're going to continue after this death and return back to where Millstone probably was. And with no access to pop, however, the survivors right now, this needs to be their opportunity to get as much gen pressure as possible, and it seems like they haven't made enough. SWAT are now going to take the first chase after the death of their teammate Terrifier, and they need to extend this chase for as long as possible. The gen pressure needs to be up as much as possible. 4 gens still remain in this trial, and that's too many for the survivors to get with a 3-man squad, unless a huge chase is played.
Nice connection onto the tiles, and I believe the Atom knows exactly what he needs to get here for his team. We do need a lot of time. We are trying to get our face back with a little bit of a different add-on combination compared to our last Spirit. However, we don't even need to go for the face right now. This is going to be the first tag onto the Atom. However, we did have a little bit of time on the hand of our other survivors. We do not have the reset on our ace yet, so this it seems like they have been prioritizing those gens, and there's generator number 2 popping, but it is only generator number 2. If they want to do anything for their team in this try, they need to push it way beyond what is going on right now. This is going to be the elimination onto Swatter. I think you were correct on being defect. This was just another visual bug on DBD's side, so this is going to be even more terrifying than it was before, with only having 2 survivors left in the trial and 1 even being injured at that.
Yeah, 1 being injured is especially going to be detrimental to your playstyle, especially because if Millstone gets found right now, it's going to be extremely hard for you to come back and get even 1 generator. At this point, all hope seems to be lost, but if they're able to reset and play it extremely slowly, there's still an opportunity to get down to 1 generator remaining and try and win out this trial. Oh, actually, no, I just realized that 2 people are dead, I think that means that the point swing is not going to be enough to get back into the favor of Soma in the situation, which means that we will be going to a 3rd set with Plague on the table.
This is going to be really, really interesting, though, and I think this is really important for us right now, as we had the first set point going over to Team Soma, which was their pick indeed, but now Reverse being able to fight back and get that second set point onto their side is very important, and maybe they can even carry on that momentum onto over to our 3rd set. However, we are still in this trial, and the Magic is still looking for those survivors, and it looks like at least the Ace is just trying to play very immersive, as well as the Felix, but with both players trying to stay hidden. I wonder what exactly the strategy might be now for Team Soma.
Yeah, that strategy needs to be a slow one if they want to get anything done. However, like I said before, the point swing won't be enough, so everything they do right now will be in vain. But still, they want to play it out and get as close as possible. And we see Legionnaire trying his best in this last chase and going to try and get that Lithe to get as far away as possible away from the Spirit here and made it all the way to the Fun Bus. Some great length there, and we'll have access to the window and be able to vault that as well, or just throw down the pallet instead to play it safe. But now it's going to need to leave this tile and go back maybe towards Shaq. I don't believe Shaq pallet has been thrown just yet. And it seems like the Magic, or no, sorry, yeah, the Magic knows that is too much for him to handle, so is trying to find wherever the Ace is, and is immediately going to phase directly on top of them and get the down.
Now, with still being kind of aware of where our Felix is, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the Slug right now, but we are going to secure the 2nd stage onto the Ace, and without having to fear any deliverance in this trial, at least from our Ace here. Now you got enough time to maybe try to scout for the Felix, but also just try to wait for the elimination eventually and try to go for the hedge closing behind the Shack. However, we are checking our chance just one last time briefly, maybe looking for Felix, who might have decided to go for another gen, but never mind, we're gonna spell Legionnaire right over here in this LT one. This is going to be the down, and yeah, pretty much the secured 4K.
Yeah, very well played from La Magic here, and entirety Reverse. Reverse played this Spirit set super well, was able to get a pretty dominant lead over Soma, with I believe a score of I don't think we have it calculated in yet, but soon we will have that in for you guys and have that up. But the Magic just played super out of his mind this match, was able to keep the pressure up for forever. It felt like they were at 4 gens for the majority of the game, and 3 gens remaining on Spirit is just unheard of. Typically, you'll see at least 2 outs or at least 1 out, but 2 outs is the typical result, and I believe we have the score in 45 Reverse, 17 Soma. So an extremely well played game from the side of Reverse, and this will result in us having to go into a Plague set after a short intermission.
Welcome back to the potential last set of today. We are looking at Plague on RRP, and we have Hubie on the killer for Team Reverse right now. And we did have a little bit of a switch on the caster's bench. May I introduce to you the one, the only, Nirewolf.
Oh, thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm so glad that I get to hop into this match, because what we have seen so far was absolutely impressive here. Between Soma and Reverse going into set number 3 onto the Plague here. A rather difficult set, given that the balance restriction and the map itself are quite tough for the Survivor team here, but we do see a very nice stun coming out from Terrify, getting some distance in and getting it to the pallet here before the full infection is coming through. So no danger for Team Soma so far, and given how Reverse was putting the pressure on set number 2, it's really good that they are playing a strong early game here.
Talking about pressure from reverse, we're now going for that corrupt pool, and with the first deck of Thanatophobia already in the game, our survivors have a little bit to work around with, and we're actually able to spot the ace behind this rock over here, and with nothing else in this area, not quite able to make it towards the shack and the shack pallet. So this is going to be a pretty early first down into the trial with your corrupt not even running out yet. However, Feng was able to get away. Now we're going to have just a little bit of a spectator bug as we were switching in the animation. Don't worry, Plague will start moving, and this is not a face camp, at least not yet.
Yeah, when you're coming out that scary as a killer, I would say you're a true terrifier here to the survivor team, but we still see the spectator back coming out here. As mentioned, not a face game, don't worry, but this is going to be now terrifier here at the main building going down. So we do see the second hook stage coming in really quickly, and this is going to result in the basement here as well. So that's going to be tricky to rescue from, and we do have a good setup of generators here on the top side. ARP usually coming with 2 strong 3-gen setups here, and we can see that Hubi will be able to guard the generators here and the hook as well. So this is going to be almost a 4-gen challenge for Team SOMA here, and for the mid game I would say that puts up a really impressive challenge.
Yeah, you really have a lot going for you. I mean, Hubi even has this other pool of corrupt purge onto the top side, so if you were to try to go for the save, you can easily just go for that corrupt purge and try to get at least a trade, if not even both of those survivors down again. We do get a little bit of value out of the brutal strength over here on that gen with just a little bit of progress, so that means at least a survivor has been around here. But it seems like our survivor is about to hit the second stage, and just to confirm that very safely, Hubi is going back into the basement, checking around as no one has made their way past them, just sneaking by, but it doesn't seem that there's another one down there. So this will be second stage onto our survivor basement. In the meantime, however, we do have the first gen pop, and I sincerely hope that there will be at least a second gen popping in the meantime. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. This second generator here was really needed, but unfortunately it is one of the generators at the bottom side. So makes me think, is SOMA potentially already working on getting the points in, because realizing that right now in this stage of the game with the basement hook here, there's not much you're gonna do on the top side. We see them slowly rotating towards the top. We do see Swatter hiding in the top mid there, lurking for a potential chance, but now Hubi also picking up the power, so being even more dangerous here on the top side, keeping an eye on the generator as well as on the basement here. And if he really manages to force SOMA into the 3v1 scenario here with the 4-gen setup, then we can say that he made it really work. Taking the map environment and what you got here, turning it into your absolute advantage, making the most out of your resources, and getting a really nice located hook. And there it is going to be. Terrifier is going to be eliminated now, and Hubi is showing us the confidence here, going all the way towards the bottom into a chase, not even sitting on his setup at the top side, and that's really impressive to me.
And we do get the first take onto the Felix over here. We do have a little bit of a filler pill to play with, but this is going to be a fast down onto Legion here. And this is very impressive. Hubi showing the confidence to go to the bottom side and even get that down in time. And I don't think, even though we do see someone working on that gen on top side, I don't think they're gonna be able to pop one of them in time. And even then, you would still have to break the 3 gen remaining. So you're really still in a really good position. However, now that we have seen, I believe it was the ace on another gen on top side, you should check your gens.
Yeah, you need to have a little look there, right? Because you need to be prepared that our survivors are going to try everything here when it comes to the pressure. There's going to be the next one once again on the bottom side here. So, as you mentioned before, really nicely, there's one survivor working on the top side here, was one survivor working on the top side. But the question is, was that maybe a little bit too late? This rotation that is coming in from Team SOMA here, we do see Legionnaire going into the second stage very soon here as well. well. Milston is still injured, so you need to be careful there, not handing out an M1 too quickly, and that leaves Swatter as currently the only healthy survivor in the trial here. Since Milston is not getting a reset, I am wondering about the gen pressure on the top right side, but we can see that he just started a generator here, so the efficiency on the side of SOMA is a little bit lacking here. That comes due to the difficult hook in the basement there, but the rotation definitely a little bit delayed here. So B is actually in a really great spot, and we have seen how well he's doing in keeping an eye on the generator pressure while guarding his hook stage. And if he's playing that out with such a routine and such a great coordination, then he might put up a really strong result here.
And we haven't even mentioned that endgame perk that Hubi still has on the back pocket here, the no way out with 3 stacks already still being in play, and now we're seeing the Adam trying to go for the save forever against a Plague. That's always a hard task. We do get the tag onto, so there should be the save free assured. We do have the down, so this is a 1-for-1 trade. However, I believe this is going to be our last fresh hook, so that's the 4th stack of no way out on Hubi's side. The 1 gen on our bottom side right now does have quite a bit of progress, I mean on the top side, so we might even see another gen pop in, but from that point on, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a second one.
Yeah, it's going to be really rough here for SOMA. They need a really strong mid-game chase here, and this Ace needs to put our killer on a really strong run, but unfortunately there are not that many resources any longer, and you're also rotating over towards the hook location here. This filler pallet is going to be your best friend for now. Mind game coming out, but not going to bamboozle our survivor here. However, Brutal Strength is doing a good work as well, removing this resource as quick as possible, and we see holding W into the map corner here to make a huge distance and causing some loss of time here when traveling towards the hook. But we are still operating in this generator setup here on the top side. It's now going to be shifted towards the top right, and we can see the survivors need to sort themselves a little bit. It might be good to rotate all the way back towards bottom, cleanse there, and then come back towards the top side here, as Hubi is not expected to go all the way towards Shack and pick up the power from there. So it's going to be a difficult decision for Team SOMA here, because you also will face yourself with the call, are you going to let the teammate die and go for a generator? That's not going to be the case. They're rescuing once again here, so they are fighting and they're trying to put everything onto the table here, which is really good. A sprint burst coming out here in this really difficult location, but it is still on this top right area. SOMA needs a long chase. SOMA needs to rotate towards the bottom side here with the killer and drag him away. If Hubi will keep getting the hook stages here on the top side, it's going to be almost impossible for SOMA to get towards the escapes here.
We do have a lot of progress onto that 4th gen, so I'm pretty sure this is gonna pop, and that is very important for your survivors to get at least those 2 points done. And if you now may be able to get at least a 1-man out, maybe with a hedge play or something similar, that will be very important for your survivor side. We do get another dry kick onto the gen over here on the hill, and I don't think Hubi is going to walk away too soon because of the progress onto both of these gens over here. So they have done a pretty good job on trying to fight back, and we do love to see a team fight till the bitter. And we have Ace over here probably going for the cleanse onto the bottom side. I don't know where the Felix is located at right now, but it seems like both of our survivors are probably going for exactly what you've mentioned earlier, the cleanse onto the Shack side, to have the little bit more of playroom on Hubi's side to go for a little more risky plays, maybe even, because if you're injured the whole time, it's going to be even worse for you, right?
Yeah, the issue I see here is the question is it still time to go for this Clancy at the bottom side, because if you would have done that in exchange for this second death, then you would have used the 60-second of hang time to return back towards the top side and get the pressure into this generator. Now the kill came through and they have cleansed now, but Hubi is not going to be busy anymore guarding any hook stage in a corner of the map. Now he can freely move between these 3 generators here at the top side, and with just 2 people it's going to be really, really difficult. But SOMA is one of these teams that has a really, really good coordination, and they have shown us in the past that they can pull really, really impressive plays out of a difficult position. So it's definitely going to be a very slow game from now. This is what we sometimes see on the Plague, especially on a map like ARP, when the mid game is slowing down a little bit after some survivor mistakes. You're trying to wait out the power now as well, going to face a normal M1 killer once again here. So if SOMA survives this power and manages to slowly get up towards the generators, there's definitely the chance, but it's going to be a longer time now where they need to stay hidden. Hubi really putting the pressure up here by picking these 2 pools, and I have to say I really like the confidence he's bringing out at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hubi has been putting the pressure onto the survivors of SOMA from the first point on into the start. I mean, we do have a little bit of luck from the RNG on our side as well, but you do have to make use of it on your own, and that's exactly what Hubi did for Team Reverse. And now we're going back on towards our main building side, as we might have to wonder if a survivor has made their way back towards our gens, but it doesn't seem like it so far. So the survivors are still gonna play immersive, take it slow, be calm, try to wait out all of this phase, and then try to re-attack your gens. However, if you wait until that point, I mean, Hubi has a really, really nice gen setup over there.
Yeah, this gen setup is something we really need to point out here. And I know that some people often tend to say this is RNG and this was a lucky gifted to the killer here. And I want to make you all aware that you do have a great match setup, sometimes a nice map layout, but it needs some work to make that happen for you. You need to zone the survivors towards the setup. You need to get the hook. And this is what Hubi really, really managed to do. He kept an eye on the generators, zoned the survivors towards the top side, and then really got rewarded with this basement hook. And that is where all the pressure is coming from. I really like, on the other hand, how slow SOMA is playing this out here, not trying to rush into the generators and doing anything out of panic here. They are really chilling here in this mid section and trying to find the perfect timing to go for these generators, and that shows us the experience of the team here, and that's what it's all about and what we are trying to find out here in DBDLeague Season 7. So SOMA definitely facing a really tough test here, but right now, even though they lost 2 survivors already, I'm still gonna say they are doing a really, really strong job.
100%, and maybe if they play this slow and very, very carefully, they might even be able to get a little more points over towards their side, maybe even get able to push out a 5th gen. However, that's going to be a hard task with all the puke going onto those gens and revealing survivors' locations. And talking about survivors' locations, we have spotted the first one of our 2 survivors, I believe, to be the Ace over here onto that Philippide. The Philippide is infected and is going to infect the Ace as well, so it's all going to be just a matter of time until Ace is will be infected as well. We do have another very strong pallet, another stun applied to the face, who be breaking this pallet with a little bit of air from your brutal strength. However, in the meantime, Felix doesn't seem to be going for any gens, so if we commit this and go for the hook at the end, we might be looking at a hatch play.
This hatch play is important to mention, right? Because that's the next tough decision SOMA has to make here. If you get some time free, are you placing a survivor on a generator here, or are you potentially aiming towards the exit gates or the hatch? It's going to be the down, and Hubi is worried about that last generator here, knows that SOMA is going to try everything to get the last and final generator done. He is going to check the midsection, now decides to go back towards the slug here, so you do try to get the the hook stage. And we can see that SOMA Survivor actually in a lot of distance to the killer now, so they have pulled back from the generators here, are going to wait until the hatch play is potentially be available, and then forcing the killer to kick it and go for one of these exit doors. So Hubi, even though being in a good spot, has a lot to worry about and needs to play this down really, really well. Otherwise, SOMA might pull a last-second escape here once again, and we have seen in the Nurse set where they pulled a really, really nice fresh out here. So they might put that once again here, not with a fresh out, but at least with a little bit of point swing here. And seeing how these two teams played it so far with such a back and forth, I could imagine that the second trial on the Plague here doesn't look really different.
100%. We have seen a lot of teams who've been skill-wise very, very close to each other. I mean, we've had the tie in the last match. We even went into a fourth set on the last matchup, and I think it's really, really, really beautiful display on what all of these teams can do. And now, I mean, we just have to wait until Milson here gets close to the bleed out, because then Hubi will be forced to go back if you don't manage to find the Felix in the meantime. We are spotting every rock, but Legion here seems to have found a very comfortable spot. However, you do have to be aware that you should be moving at least a little bit, unless those nasty throws are going to come along and maybe even reveal your location. But our players are 100% aware of that and are moving just a little bit. Now it's starting to change to check all those lockers over here, getting maybe a little bit desperate. I do like to see that our Slug Survivor, however, isn't going too far away from our main side, and I believe the hatch is going to spawn around the shack side. So if you go for the hook, you won't make it back in time to close it.
I really like this game. I know that it's always tough for both sides here when it gets into a very long extent like we see right now. And hello, welcome in to DBDLeague Season 7 on ARP. My friend, this is going to be your potential last chase here. But if he stays on a run for a little bit, then we do have the chance that Milston is going to bleed out there on the top side. So this would be another chance for our Survivor team here to get a little bit of pressure onto the killer. Now it's going to be in the midsection here, and our Felix is actually doing a really, really good job going back towards the midsection, and now going to drop this pallet here as well, making the most out of it. And meanwhile, the bleed out timer is ticking down, so very soon he will be forced to either go to the slug, but as you mentioned, that's going to be rough because of the location split there. So if Felix is on a run, they might get the bleed out and the hatch escape here.
This is now going to speed up a lot. However, we do have used most of these resources over here in this area, but now you definitely won't make it until the bleed out time on our first survivor is gone around out. It seems like Hubi is going to commit this chase out now with the pallet drop. It comes down to a couple of mind games, and it seems like Felix is doing a really, really good job on this chase, even able to make a little more distance. We do have the hill over here, which is favorable for our kill, and now a closing edge. The other survivor has bled out, but this is going to be a little bit of a point swing in favor of SOMA, and it is going to be shown in the next match setup. And now, I mean, you weren't able to go for the hedge play. Maybe you got enough distance so Hubi loses you, but this is most likely going to end, well, okay, going to end up in a in a 3K. But being able to get that bleed out on the top side just shows once again how good of a coordinated team SOMA is and how well they know their strategies.
Yeah, it's just a really, really impressive one what SOMA has done here, and I think this is important, right, when we are looking into this final trial here potentially, because one thing SOMA for sure can take out of this set here, even though it is not going to be the score they were looking for, is that they have just shown themselves how much they can make happen when they are already in a tough spot, and how good they can play coordinated here, how they can stay calm and collected and try to put the pressure back onto the killer. And I feel like for this very last trial, you need to try get this message onto your killer player and send him out that way to show a very confident performance here. And Now, I know that you hate prediction, my favorite Blueberry, but I'm going to ask you, what's going to be your prediction for SOMA's killer here? Do you choose something crazy aggressive as your perk build, or do you just come in as prepared and try to play it that way?
I think this is a tricky one, and I have to say I wouldn't be surprised if SOMA opts to go for at least the tie and would be fine with that. However, that wouldn't be fine for us because it's getting late, so please don't tie this. But I feel like SOMA's gonna go confident into the next trial.
I have to agree with that, and therefore we are going to see what they are going to set up here for this potentially last trial. We are going to catch you after a quick break. Welcome back, everybody, to the potentially last trial between RVRS and SOMA here. It's going to be RVRS on the survivor side, and we do see them trying to go for a little bit of a different approach here. They're taking it slower, they're hiding more towards the back of the map here, trying to waste some time off the corrupt intervention here. So Volga is going to try find a survivor, and that now works out here on the top side. Chase being taken into the corrupted area. Volga is going to commit to the survivor here because there's also going to be the corrupted pool. So same as in trial number 1 on the Plague, we might see a very, very quick down here.
This would be very, very beneficial for Volga. We do see the chase being taken over towards this main side. Never mind, the gate is still closed, and this is going to be the first hit. And almost the second one onto Magic, I believe, who's playing the thing over here. We do kick the Paladin as we're looking at doing a brief look at the perks. We have the first down, and I just was going to mention that we are looking at a exact similar perk build, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be the same approach here. We do see that they got some pressure into the generators here, but Volga just taking 80 seconds for this hook. Also going to be onto the top side. I really love this start of the game here because it is setting up quite the same challenge for our survivor team here, so we can really go into a comparison between SOMA and RVRS here, and Volga is trying to go for the little sniper onto the generator, and fortunately a little bit too early, so he needs to puke twice to use the Vile Purge as an information pool here. Now going to puke on the generators here, using that as an information tool. Really nice work here, infecting the survivor as well, while he is trying to catch a rescuer off guard here. So he is doing a good job for now, same as RVRS Killer. He has the 4-gen setup on top as well, so everything points towards an actual 1-1 comparison here. But if we can say one thing about RVRS here, they are really efficient there on the bottom side.
They are really efficient, as we have seen 2 gens pop at the exact same time over here, and I believe this is also already the first difference in our 2 trials, because I believe it took us a little bit longer till we had that 2nd gen pop in our last trial. However, that one person we've seen around the hook doesn't seem to have retreated from the area, so we do have the 2nd stage coming on out to our min over here, and now we're actually even going for the corrupted pool. So this might be the force of the dying state onto our first survivor, which is again a similarity, but we are not having her hang in basement.
And that's a really important difference here, right? The basement hook RVRS got in the killer game really allowed him to have equal pressure on the left and right side, and that's something you are going to miss here. Even though Le Magic is very likely going to die here, the survivors will have an easier time attacking it, but they are not going for it just yet. 3rd generator coming out on the bottom side as well. So 3v1 scenario, 4 generators here at the top top side. It's going to be interesting how the survivors are going to attack this. It's going to be a kick now. We need to mention though that right now the infection rate across the survivor team is 0, so that thanatophobia that supports a playstyle that is really crossing the pressure across the survivor team is not going to work out just yet. Hubi is getting infected here, but it will take some time until thanatophobia is doing the work for him. Meanwhile, the survivors are already working on the generators here. So overall, comparing these two trials, I do feel like that Team Reverse is a little bit more efficient, a little bit of a step ahead here. The question is if Volga will turn it around in the next few seconds here.
Yeah, exactly, especially with that gen spread, which is very similar to the one we had last game. We do get the tag onto the Adam, so now you're looking at that first thanatophobia stack, and with the Nancy being affected right now, this is going to be the second one as well. However, we are looking at a pretty quick down onto Pedro. And this is also going to be, if we find ourselves another hook, yeah, over there in the corner, we do have another one. This is going to be the second stack of No Way Out for this killer as well. So we do have a little thing in our back pocket for the end game if we're gonna need it. But yeah, we will see how this turns out. I'm not 100% on the win condition because of the bleed out we had in the past trial, but it looks like we do not we can allow that 5th gen to pop due to the No Way Out being brought into the trial, so this is a good point to point out as well.
Yeah, this No Way Out is a really crucial perk here, because if he gets the 4K on the last generator being done, thanks to our wonderful staff in the background, then it's going to be a tie. So then happens what you looked for, the tie and the replay of the set, and I know that our producer Will is also looking forward to that, but I honestly really like that Volga is going for that No Way Out here, because I think that's a really realistic judgment of what can happen. A lot of killers would potentially bring something crazy. I was trying to force you into that prediction earlier, and trying to get this 4K on a generator left no matter what to go for the win here. And I really like that Volga is checking out his option and what seems to be realistic, and that he says, in worst case, we do need to work with the 4K here on all generators being done, and go for a replay is, in my opinion, a really, really good choice here, and a really, really good evidence of his game experience there as well. He is doing a good job on keeping an eye onto these generators. We do see our survivor leaving the area with a sprint burst, and in the perfect timing there's going to be the unhook prepared here for Team Reverse. Pedro and our Lori are going to work on the generators. Meanwhile, Nancy is potentially trying to go towards the bottom side. That is now going to be Lori's challenge as well. She will make it in time, so Volga is struggling a little bit now, where Reverse comes out really coordinated, and generator number 5 is very close here.
Oh, this is just going to be a very, very tight race at the end. We now have all three survivors infected, so 3 stacks of thanatophobia working in your favor. There should be at least a couple of pools to cleanse over there on the other side of the map, so you could go for a cleanse, maybe to get rid of a little bit of a penalty over there. But now we're looking at the typical way Plague games play out, because now it's going to take a longer time, because I feel like now you really have to play safe with everybody being injured, and now you're in that 3 gen, and we do see the cleanse coming out on the other side of the map as predicted, but this gen does already have a lot of progress.
Yeah, the progress is rising, and Volga is going to feel that, and he needs to make more and more decisions. Every single second that is ticking down here is going to work in favor of Team Reverse here. The split also done quite well, even though they're in a tough split. They are really doing a nice left and right pressure on the top side here, leaving early, leaving coordinated, and now Volga is forced to commit to one of these survivors. He is going to get the down onto Laser, but you need to go for the slug. You need to go back towards the top side here. The clock is ticking down. Is that going to be be generator number 5 being knocked out here? That's going to be the interesting question. There's going to be a little bit of pressure, but the survivors already rotating over to get the pickup here as well onto Laser. So it's not going to be generator number 5 just yet. Volga made it happen. Now also able to zone our Adam towards the top side, so you can keep a hook stage in this area here if you manage to get a quick down here. So Volga about to pull the pressure back.
This is really interesting. I wonder why he went the choice to go for the pickup down on the bottom side, as he'd only need to go for that one last completed gen. But we have seen in one of our prior matches that the commit onto the gen, we've seen that in the Nurse match, cost them the whole set point. So this might be why Reverse is now trying to go for the very, very safe route. Keep everybody in trial for as long as possible. Keep the hooks out of the 3-gen area if possible, and try to get that set really, really safely, and maybe even the out to get the win of this whole thing today. But it does look like we are having another survivor down here spotted. We are going for the corrupt purge to put even more pressure onto the survivors of Team Reverse, and it doesn't seem like anyone is on a gen right now, so Volga really, as you mentioned, pulling back that pressure.
He is doing a fantastic job. Volga, the machine of gen pressure, holding whatever you want to give him as a title here. He needs one after this game because he's doing a fantastic job here in this trial. Vanatophobia now also doing a lot of work for him. We can see the survivors going for the cleanse here because the 15% of slowdown can do a lot of work here, and that's going to be the down on Hubi, who left a little bit too late from the top side there, and our other survivors are forced to keep it careful here and keep it safe. This is now going to be Laser rotating towards the top side, potentially working as a bait, so Adam can move in for the save relatively quickly in the back there. But Reverse now trying to go against Volga here and trying to put the pressure back onto him. This back and forth here, really, really intense. Both teams are getting tested to their absolute limits here. Now the survivor making it back towards the mid side, so the pressure is back onto Volga. There are so many turns into this game here that it's actually at this point impossible to say who has the higher pressure.
Exactly, and I hate to say it like this, but it comes down to who makes a mistake first, and it does look like Laser gets caught a little bit off guard, and this is detrimental because now you do have another hook into your corrupted gens, and also it's your last fresh hook, so you now do have all of those 4 stacks from the No Way Out. We are looking at a little bit of a spectator bug, so the face cam isn't mandatory. Volga is probably moving a little bit around the map, or at least around the hook, as we do see Pedro kind of trying to go for the save, being in chase around on here around that pallet next to the hook. If you play that in a very, very smart way, you might be able to get the save. However, we are going back towards the main building, so this might be our 3rd survivor coming in for the save if they aren't sticking to a gen right now.
Because that looked a little bit funny there, how the Plague was standing in front of the hook and Pedro was looping a Wraith pretty much around a pallet here, but he did a good job, made it all the way towards Funbus, so that allows the unhook. But as we mentioned before, it is a run of Reverse. After Volga's pressure here, they need to go for the unhooks left and right here because they're coming in so quickly. So I wish on the side of the survivors you would love to reverse the game a little bit, going a few minutes back and going to attack these top generators a little bit sooner into the trial, because I think that is the same arrow that has been taken in trial number 1 on the Plague here. Both teams not getting the needed efficiency on the top side there, and this is going to backfire onto them now. It's going to be Laser, unfortunately, not working out the window fake here, so this is going to be Hubi, and he's in a rough spot. That is a dead zone next to the fun bus, and he has been located, so it is potentially the last chase here, and with the generator still standing, if we are not facing a bleed out here, that would force a decision.
And talking about the bleed, I believe also if you were to take the hatch, this also would spell out the tie condition, if I am not mistaken, might even be the win actually. If we're looking at the hook stages, however, that would have to mean that our survivor here has to take a really impressive chase, and now we are actually going over towards the whole other side of the map and are putting even more distance between our select survivors. So we're actually looking at another very similar situation to our last game, but we also had the select onto our main side and now the chase on bottom, and you really have to serve up that juice right now. But we do have that corrupt purge in play now, so it is going to be a real tight race.
Yeah, this is incredible, right? It's incredible how close these. Some last second juice to take home here, but if this is going to be the hooks for Volga, then it's going to be the win for Soma by just 2 points here. So this is now going to be the question. Laser, can he go for a bleed out play, or will Volga collect the pieces of the Slugfest together and get the necessary points for his team? In 2 points though is already showing us how close these games were, and we have a lot to touch on in our analysis after this game here. But oh dear, it's going to be the fun bus, so potentially not the expected location here where the survivor was originally down, but still on the top side. So once Volga starts rotating here in this portion of the map, he is going to move towards this survivor. He's getting closer and closer here, so this is going to be difficult for our team. He's checking the basement first though. That's a very known location in Comp DBD, that the survivors are hiding down in the basement. That's going to be some seconds taken, around 70 seconds on that bleed out timer. He might pull it off here.
We also have to mention that I believe we do see the adrenaline being placed on Laser as well. So if we are going to close the hatch, which is still open around on the shack side, oh no, then we might be looking at Laser standing up. But this is the decision made, and this is going to be the 4K for Zuma.
Very intense game here between Soma and Reverse, going to finish with a 2-1 for Team Soma here. Reverse doing a fantastic job keeping the fight and the pressure up here. Unfortunately losing to just 2 points, but that also shows us how close these teams are together here, and what a fight we have seen here. Really intense. Thank you so much, Soma and Reverse, for this incredible play here. And I do feel like, Blue, we need to talk about this match a bit, because the number of times we said this is similar to trial number 1, how the gen setup, the 4-gen setup on top side both times, the hook coming in, the 3v1 with this setup. I feel like we saw almost 2 similar trials here that made a difference in just 1 or 2 micro decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very close trial, even with the slug in the end with the situation. It was almost the same thing we had in the trial before, and it just shows how even out these players are. And I mean, even in the final score, which is 34-32, it even shows in the score that you 34-36 in favor of Soma. It even shows in that you have 2 teams that are very close on their skill level, and I think this is another beauty of DBDLeague to see that. And I think not only in the Plague match has that been displayed, also in the Nurse set before, we have seen very close trials.
Yeah, that's a very nice thing to mention, right? And how excited we can look towards Season 7 here, because what we have seen so far in this competition, or in this opening weekend here, is that a lot of teams actually had really close games here, and even a 2-0 came out in a very good fight over this weekend here, came out in really nice plays, in really nice counter plays to certain tactics the teams have shown here. So if there's anything we can take from the opening weekend, then I think that the teams we have here, unfortunately because of Eternity's drop here, the remaining 11 teams really being close together, really being able to find a response and to find a good reply to what the opponent is picking up. And SOMA and RVRS here, I think, are the example for that, how they were keeping the game slow, how they allowed to slow the survivor game down, taking a step back, saying, hey, we need a new strategy. Let's cleanse on the bottom side. Let's split left and right here. And it didn't turn out in both cases here as they got 4K'd, but the idea was there and the overview was really, really there. So what we have seen was really, really impressive here from both teams. Therefore, once again, SOMA and RVRS, thank you so much for this game here. Thank you so much to Blueberry being here with me on the table. I heard that we are supposed to wrap it up here because we have an interview for you with the winning team, and we are going to bring that for you in just a moment.
Hello everyone, and welcome to one more interview for the day. I'm Willie Awesome, and I'm joined this time by Terrifier from SOMA. Say hello.
Hi, Chad.
So, today was definitely a close match. I think it was the closest one we had this weekend. How did it feel playing such a close match?
Yeah, it's always very hard to play matches when you're going point by point with your opponent and you don't have a massive advantage, so you're very nervous during all the match. And even though in our team we have a lot of tournament experience, but still when matches like this happens, some of us are nervous during the matches. And it's always hard to concentrate and to play at the top point during the whole series when you're going step by step with your opponent.
All right. My next question is just, how does it feel to be here playing in DBDLeague Season 7 and winning your first match of the season?
It always feels awesome to compete in deadbydaylight because it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it's interesting to playing new teams because every new event there is almost new rosters, new players, new stacks, and it's really fun and enjoyable.
All right, and I have one more question for you.
Yes.
What is one goal that you have for yourself in this upcoming season?
For myself or for the whole team?
For yourself.
My main goal is to improve as a captain and as an in-game leader, to have my calls during the match stable and always right, and to keep my boys motivated, in the good mood, and always compete for the best.
All right. Well, that is all the time we have for some questions. So thank you, Terrifier, for joining me in this interview. And go ahead and say goodbye to the chat.
Bye-bye, chat. Have a good day. Or night, or evening.
All right, and we are going to head back to... I'm going to hand it back over to Dyer and Blueberry to wrap up the day.